Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Technical Forum of Hydrogen and Fuel Cells Europe of the Hannover Fair 2022. It's 2022. We are here again after a longer break. And now we get a presentation about the challenges and the transformation processes during the ramp up of the hydrogen economy. And we have two speakers of HydroHub. One is the leader of HydroHub and the colleague is the leader Competence Center Hydrogen. And I want you to applaud Dr. Carsten Gelhrd. Come on the stage. And you will introduce your colleague then.
Yes, so thanks a lot. First of all, a warm welcome on behalf of the HydroHub. The HydroHub is an initiative of various companies of the TÜV North Group. And today we are represented by myself and my colleague Thomas Kattenstein, both being part of the energy engineers. And it's a pleasure today to give you, by using some concrete examples from our work, some experience exchange on not only the challenges but also the opportunities that are related to the ramp up of the hydrogen economy. And from our perspective, the challenges and also the opportunities, they might be bundled around so-called 4 strategic themes or topics, starting with the import and export of energy in the form of hydrogen as a carrier material in order to manage globally the supply and the demand of hydrogen, followed by the building and development of new infrastructure, but also the kind of retrofitting of existing infrastructures, which we are bundling under our topics of H2 readiness and second life. And finally and eventually close by the often and maybe also the most important and challenging topic, namely the overall topic on hydrogen and sustainability. So basically speaking, what is at the end the concrete impact that we are able to create on society, but also on the economy and also on the ecological factors in order to transform our systems and industries. And import and export is one of the central topics. And from our point of view, from a German perspective, we basically are speaking about the import of hydrogen in order to be prepared for the transformation of the energy system. And the challenging part here is, from our point of view, basically building and accelerating the development of the required infrastructure for the production, but also for the transport of hydrogen to our country. And this is also related to accelerating the capacities for the transportation. And a starting point here is basically to develop a kind of thorough understanding and also analysis. So what are basically the alternatives, also in terms of technologies, that we are referring to? So at the moment we are clearly proposing to still be open to various alternatives and various technologies. And this also has been one part, to give you just one example, as part of one of our studies, where we have supported and have been created a kind of building block for the import strategy of Hamburg. So by explicitly showing what are the different opportunities that we have, what are the advantages and disadvantages from a local perspective, from a perspective of Hamburg, to become prepared to develop their own import strategy in order to have the basis and their starting point in order to accelerate and build up and develop the infrastructure in order to be prepared for the future supply of hydrogen to Germany. And those type of, I call them higher aggregated strategies, they are closely connected and related to more regional strategies. And by this I want to give the word to my colleague, Mr. Thomas Kattenstein.
Thank you, Carsten, for the introductory words. I would like to take over and I would like to explain to you why regions are that important for the hydrogen economy and the hydrogen ecosystem. You know that big industry is already working for a long time on hydrogen. You know, steel industry, for example, chemical industry. But the regions have a high potential also to take part in the hydrogen story, I would say. And they are interested to decrease their own climate emissions, and they are interested to increase their economic development. And for that reason, they would like to support their local industry, maybe as a supplier, but maybe also as an operator of hydrogen and fuel cell systems. What is needed for that is, of course, that they do not know already what are these potentials, what potentials are there in order to produce hydrogen in the region and how to use it in the region. For example, for industry, which I mentioned before. For example, also for mobility, for the building sector and the power sector. And with regard to that, the regions are very much interested, are very much motivated. They want to create the hydrogen system not only top-down but also bottom-up, and for that reason we offer support for regions in that case, and we have one major example presented here. It was the project of the high expert Osterholz region in Lower Saxony. We have supported them with regard to an implementation strategy that was funded by the National Innovation Program, NIP, and we have analyzed for them what is the potential in the region in order to produce hydrogen out of wind energy, out of photovoltaic energy. What are the options to use the hydrogen in the region? Here we had a special focus on mobility, fuel cell buses, for example, fuel cell trucks. We have designed electrolyzer production on several spots. We have designed fleets, how many vehicles, what is needed for the hydrogen infrastructure, what is needed for the fueling stations. We have combined that in a complete strategy, implementation strategy, and which is of course most important. Already from the beginning you have to integrate all the local stakeholders, because in the end they have to realize that strategy, they have to implement the strategy, and they have to put their money on the table. So take the local stakeholders already in the beginning on board, and then you have a successful implementation plan. Another important topic is the industrial use of hydrogen. We see a lot of companies today that are suffering from high energy prices, also energy security, and also CO2 emissions. There is a certain demand from customers to decrease CO2 emissions. And if you want to do that, of course, low emission technology is a solution. And regarding low emission technology, hydrogen could be the solution for the industry. Especially, as you can see here on the slide, we are talking about steel manufacturing, for example, paper industry, cement industry, and so on. But it's important that the process that they have in the industry is feasible to have the change from natural gas or oil to hydrogen, with regard to the process, with regard to the burner technology, with regard to the heat management, and so on. So this is a new topic. This has to be analyzed, and we have done several projects to support industrial companies to analyze their processes. Is it already today possible to switch to hydrogen, or should you start with hydrogen-ready technology? What is the time frame? What is the reliability? What are the costs? What is the exact roadmap in order to come from the traditional fossil fuels to the hydrogen? And if you're an industry company and if you need support for that, please ask us. And the last example we would like to present to you is the perspective of a supplier, a component supplier, for example, which is dealing of the topic, for example, automotive industry for a long time with regard to internal combustion engines, or a company which works on the energy supply with a long history maybe on natural gas. But all this business will not be there in 10 years from now. So these companies have to switch their portfolio. They have to come to new technologies, maybe to hydrogen. And the idea is, how can they transfer? How can they substitute their present portfolio to future technologies? Can they use their existing portfolio? Can they adapt their portfolio? Or are they able to produce or create a new portfolio that is able to fulfill the requirements of the hydrogen economy? With regard to that, we offer services, for example, for a mechanical engineering company. We have done this in the past. We have analyzed what they are doing today, what are their markets today, what are their capabilities. We have checked the hydrogen market, where can we need their technology, where can we need their products. We have done workshops with them internally. We have done workshops with potential customers, with potential stakeholders, and afterwards we have defined a concrete strategy how to switch their portfolio from the old technologies to the new ones. Yeah, and here we can base on our long history that we have in managing a fuel cell and hydrogen network in the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. We have done for a long time the Energieagentur in North Rhine-Westphalia with a network of more than 400 companies. So we have a good view on the capabilities of companies, on networks, on the relations between customers and suppliers, R&D institutes, funding instruments, and so on. And with regard to that, I would like to go to the final slide. If you need any if you need any support, please come back to us, to the HydroHub, Carsten, Gelhrd, or myself. We are offering services with regard to all the hydrogen topics that you may have today and in the future. Thank you very much.
We've got some time left. If you have some questions from the audience. From the network, this is no sign. Okay.
No question.
Where can we find you?
We are on D667. D67.
Okay, thanks a lot for this interesting presentation.